Hello and welcome to day 167 in this quest for a 2000 rapid chess rating on chess.com. So let's find an opponent and begin here. I had a blunder in my last game, so hopefully we can avoid those. We have the white pieces. Oh, and a high rated 1877 player. So I'll play d4. I've been trying to do the Jabava London system for a while, but I'm still learning. So let's see how my opponent responds. d5. So Jabava London, we play knight to c3, attacking here. Now we develop our bishop. So this also tries to stop our opponent from bringing their pawn into the center here. All right. So now their bishop is blocked in. We have a possibility of bringing our pawn up into the center here immediately. We could try and immediately attack here, but they could just block us with a bishop or pawn. So bishop here or pawn here. So do we attack the center here immediately? All right, I think I'm just going to play some normal moves. All right, so we're being attacked here immediately. Let's see, what should we do? We ignore this attack, bring our knight up. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just develop, help cover this square. All right, so they've captured. His queen could develop, targeting our pawn, but then we could just develop our queen up here and cover it. We may end up bringing our pawn up here. Let's see. Well, where do I want to put this bishop? That is the issue here. If the knight jumps in here, what do we do then? Now, do we bring this bishop up here? This is a normal move. Yeah, why not? We'll just bring that bishop up. Oh, maybe we could have, maybe I moved too quickly. I could have possibly tried to pin their knight here and then bring this bishop or this knight up here, if they try to block or break the pin. All right, so they just attack. Now, would it be better to just drop back or ignore that and castle? Do we ignore and castle, letting him take our bishop? That is the question. He moved twice. He moved that piece again, so we could just back up. We could back up and then attack and drive his knight back, keeping my bishop. But then his could jump forward here. The problem is, if I drop back to here, he could jump his knight into that little outpost. Of course, I could take him, as he would be attacking me. All right, we'll just do that. Then we can just chase his knight away with our bishop. Or excuse me, with our chase his knight away with our pawn. All right, now we have time to castle. So we'll go ahead and do that. He has a bad bishop blocked in. So what might he try to do? Maybe fianchetto and try and aim down through the center towards our king side. And we might think, okay, so he wants to attack over here. All right, now we can reposition our bishop. But maybe we should centralize our rook first. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, now do we attack with our knight? Do we drive our knight up here and just attack? And also, should we reposition, aiming at his king, put our bishop back up here, and aim up towards his king side? Or do we just attack here, right here immediately? You know, if he captures, we capture, fixes our pawns. He could ignore us, but we don't want to take his bad bishop. He could just ignore that attack on his bishop and jump this knight here with the idea of trying to go there, maybe. All right. The issue might be if this knight tries to jump down in here. So, do we bring our bishop up? Should we bring our bishop up? Let's improve the position of our knight. And here's where I'm not sure what is the best way forward. Well, that's interesting that he decided to do that. All right, he might be trying to trade off his bad bishop for my good one. Oh, and then he's also having the possibility of pushing his c-pawn and attacking me. So, do I take his bishop? If I take the bishop, it just helps his queen develop. All right, I'm going to go here. Now what? Okay. Well, our knight is on a good outpost square. We need to do something about this knight. Usually you want to drop this knight back here. All right, what can we do with our knight? All right, let's drop back there. Now we can use our C pawn to fortify our D pawn here. So that looks to be the best way to go. Or do we want to just pick this off, knock this pawn out? That's a tough decision here. Do we knock that out? Then what? So the question is, do we pick off this pawn right here? The rook would recapture. Then what? Then what do we do? Or do we just push forward here and it'll close things up? All right, too much time thinking there. We'll just go ahead, do that, see what our opponent decides to do here. All right, an attack. And now we're kind of forced to drop back. So we'll go there. Now what? Now what? Okay, so we have an attack there. We could just push this forward. I think that might be the way to go. But then our knight is really restricted here on what it can do. And if we do this, it'll break his pawns apart. So maybe we go ahead and do that. We could take with our bishop, but yeah, maybe we do that. We capture, capture. So we take with the bishop, then take his bishop. So we'll do that, then we'll knock his other bishop out. But this is a good knight here. Maybe we don't want to be too hasty about giving that up. Maybe we should press forward here with this pawn. But maybe I want to give up this knight. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll give the knight up. Then we'll go here to protect. Need to get our king up here, get our knight repositioned to f3, I think. The problem is he's going to pile up here. All right, there we go. I can just go ahead and target his knight, though. So now I have a discovered attack on his knight. So that's pretty good. All right, what now? Can he sacrifice this knight? Is that a possibility? Okay, now I can just chase the knight out of there with my pawn. But which one is best? Probably the H pawn. All right, we'll just chase him away. All right, then we bring up our knight, threaten to attack his queen. So now our knight can jump here or here, attacking his queen. We need to find a good spot for our queen. Now his knight can reposition here. That might be a good possibility. Okay. All right, well, let's target his pawn there. So we're going to go after that pawn. threaten a capture with check there. So what can he do? All right, now we can target his queen. We can also try and jump our knight up here, but I think I'd rather go after his queen first. And this might give me time to bring my rook up, double my rooks on this half open file. Okay. Well, now do we go after this pawn? If we go after the pawn, or do we just trade queens off? That's the question here. I'm thinking we just knock out the queen. Then we try and double our rooks on this half open file. If we go out here, that might be too crazy. Now he can just attack us. So let's get rid of that. Double our rooks up. All right, so now we'll just double up our rooks. Okay. So we'll double the rooks up. If he tries to block us with his knight, we can attack his knight. Okay, now, do I push this other pawn forward? That is the question. Probably. That looks to be a decent play. So we'll just go there. Gaining space on the H file, or on the king side here. Now, he could try and start targeting over here. So what can we do with our knight? Do we bring our king up into the action? All right, where can we move our knight? Can we make our knight do more than what it's doing? All right, knight, if we could go back here and play defense. But then what? Then what? All right, we'll do that. That'll keep his knight out of our position. Then we might be able to push our pawn up, try and undouble our pawns. Now what? What did this move do? It allows him to double up. So we'll go ahead and do that. Keeps his knight out of the position. And we can push our other pawn forward. All right, I don't know. I'm hanging in there. I'm trying to hang in there against the 1877 player. That might be the highest player I've played against on this Quest for 2000 series. All right, we probably need to attack over here. So we'll go there. All right, we have a capture, so we should recapture. So we go ahead and do that. Now, this pawn could be dangerous, possibly. All right, do we exchange off more here? We probably need to push the pawn up. So we'll go there. All right, now what? Now what? Well, I guess we have to go there to protect. Now we could possibly try and jump our knight up here, jump it up here with a check, keeping an eye on this pawn. But then that'll allow his knight to come down into our position. And I don't know if I like that. Also, he could just jump his knight forward now. Yeah, and there he goes. So we probably have to take. So we'll go ahead and knock that out of there. But he's left with this dangerous passed pawn. All right, our king should go up there and help guard. So let's get moving. We can try and push our king up and then push this pawn up. We have to get rid of this, but then we're going to be stuck with this backward pawn. Okay, now what? Not looking good over here. I don't know. It's looking pretty grim here. I only have 2 minutes left. So that's not so good. Right, now what? If he captures, that'll let me bring my king over here. But I don't know. This is looking pretty rough here. Pretty rough. Huh. All right, I should probably capture. All right, what can we do here? If we go here and he captures, we capture, he's going to be able to get in behind that. I don't know. I think I might be losing, but I'll try and play a little bit further here. Huh. If I go here and he just pushes forward, he doesn't even have to do that. All right, I guess we're going that way. All right, well, that is kind of good, I guess. If we go there, Yeah, I think I'm losing this one. Okay, well that's interesting. Now I can target this. Oh, a draw. I got lucky there. Oh my gosh. I got lucky we repeated the position. Oh, yeah, I think I was losing that one pretty good. So I got lucky. All right, so it looks like I played at 81.6% accuracy. They played at 81.8. And yes, the game, I had an advantage there apparently in the middle game, and then I, let it get away from me, and then it was even, and then I got in trouble here into this end game. So a lot to look at. My looks like I played at a 2050 level. My opponent played at a 2000 level, and let's see here. 6 inaccuracies for me, 5 for my opponent, 5 mistakes for me, 5 for my opponent. So, I guess we both could have played a little bit better. All right, quick review, and then I'll do a little bit of computer analysis afterwards. All right, so I set up the Jabava London. They played this interesting knight to c6 move, so that was a little bit different. And it kind of blasted through these moves. So I'll look closer at these when I go ahead and do the analysis. So here, yeah, I didn't like those moves. I don't know. I guess I was playing a higher rated player and tried to trade down material to get closer to a draw or take away some of his attacking power. But that's not really the best way to play, so I should have been looking for better moves, of course. All right, so yeah, trading off the queens there, did not like that. Yeah, that's where I got in trouble. I think I was trading off too much material here. They don't like that capture. And then apparently that was a bad move. Yeah, it looks like if I bring the rook here, I could have tried to push this pawn up maybe. And break things apart over here. So, all right, yeah, I'm going to finish this out, the last few moves, and then it was a draw here. So let's look at the computer analysis because that's what I really want to take a look at. And for everybody out there, especially beginners, but players at any level, try and go over your games and, see what you did wrong. All right, so here, the Jabava London. Now that's interesting. Once they go there, it looks like e4 may be the best move. No, now it's saying bishop to f4 is better. So, and then e4. So e4 or bishop. But if I want to play the Jabava London, then you bring the bishop out here to f4. Now e6 was played, although they like a6 better. Here, the computer recommends I push the h-pawn up to h4, but what did I play? I just played the normal e3 move. So common Jabava London moves. Now here they fight for control of this diagonal. So here, once again, they like h4. I just developed my knight. It says this is okay, but it really likes that h4 move, gaining space on the king side. So capture. Now, A lot of times people think that, oh, if you let them capture your bishop, now you're going to have doubled pawns here. What is the best move? It looks like just developing the knight maybe was a better move. Or pushing this pawn here. So, capture. But now after this recapture, I have a good hold on this e5 square with both of these pawns. So that's one feature that, it looks like, oh, you kind of doubled your pawns, but it really covers the e5 square. So now knight is developed. And here it looks like knight to e5, bishop to b5. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. Played bishop to b5 pinning. But then I thought, well, yeah, if they attack, I could capture and wreck their pawns. But I don't know. That would give them an open, half-open b file maybe. So knight to e5. The computer likes that move the best. So here I develop my bishop. They target it. I just retreat back, and then I'll have time to chase their knight back now. So after they run, apparently the computer likes queen to d2. But once again, h4 looks to be the move that it likes best. So castling is an inaccuracy. Oh yeah, apparently h4 would keep the equivalent of over half a pawn lead here. So they're recommending I play h4 and then knight up to e7. That frees up the c pawn to attack my d pawn in the center, something like this. The recommendation here is just keep pushing the pawn. Then they like b6. You push this, it could help fortify that. You can get your bishop out. But in the game, I castled. a6 was played, keeping pieces out of b5, maybe allowing to push that pawn in the future. So I just centralized my rook, although bishop to d3 immediately is preferred. Maybe keeping that knight out of e4 there. So bishop develops. My knight grabs the outpost. So here, knight to e7 apparently is best, and now it's saying bishop to e8 to keep their bishop. Here, bishop to d3 is best, so I found that move. They like b6 here, because if they play b6, that can help fortify this pawn push. So instead, they bring the rook over, which does prepare to put this rook on a half-open file, possibly, if there's an exchange here. So knight dropping back is good, but g4 would have been better. Threatening to just start attacking over here. All right, the c5 move, apparently an inaccuracy, that it would have been better to play bishop to b5 and maybe try and trade off bishops. Oh, excuse me. So, I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. Must be putting myself to sleep. All right. So, let's see. What do we have here? c3 is played to fortify the center, but now c4 is best, chasing my bishop. Bishop to c2, it likes that move. The computer does. Now, this is a mistake. Apparently, knight to e8 would have been better. Then once that's played, it looks like g4 would be the best way to go. But man, that really opens things up in front of your king, it looks like. But that's what they recommend. That's what the computer recommends as being best. pushing my g-pawn. Then they would push their f-pawn attacking my knight. The knight would have to drop back. Alright. But in the game, this was played. Knight to g6. A mistake. To take advantage of that, it looks like I should keep the knight on the outpost and just develop my queen here. But bishop capturing on g6, now they're saying that's the best move. So I guess that doubles some pawns up here. And it looks like capturing that way, the computer doesn't like that as much as capturing towards the center, which is usually what you want to do. So, if you capture that way, now the recommendation is to just bring my other knight up here. That way I can capture if his knight jumps into here. But in the game, we had a capture away from the center. Now I see why they've done that. They want to open the file up and have their rook lining up down through here. Especially if the queen gets involved. All right, so that is a mistake. Apparently g3 would have been better. That's a powerful knight on that outpost. I should have just left it there. Apparently it would have been better to just play that. And then here the recommendation is maybe start pushing the pawns over here. But in the game, I capture. It just helped them develop their queen, so that wasn't the greatest move. I found g3 the best move. The queen lines up here, with a threat of picking that off with check on my king and harassing me. So the king steps up, with the possibility now of bringing the rook over here maybe, but mainly to get my knight repositioned back up to here and up to that outpost. So the game continues with this attack, a mistake. It would have been better to just drop that knight back because, let's take a look at that. If they drop back here instead, it covers that outpost square. So if my knight, tries to reposition back up here, it can be captured. And then I have to watch out because of the queen and rook battery lined up here. If I capture this way. So I don't know, maybe it would be better to capture that way. Anyway, that didn't happen in the game. We had knight to g4. So the best thing here is to ignore that knight and just drop my knight back, which I guess I found that move. Knight to f6 is best, but instead they start pushing here, trying to get some pressure on my king, I guess. No, they're protecting that knight, protecting the knight from that attack by my queen. All right, but it would have been better to just retreat the knight. So we attack the knight, driving it back anyway, but it would have been better to just leave that knight there and press my knight forward, because now after this attack, yeah, it looks like it would have been better to put the knight back here. What they say, a knight on the rim is dim, because if he jumps here, well, maybe he was thinking I can't push this pawn up, and attack the knight because this would be weakened. Anyway, the knight jumps forward. We have the queen. What is this queen doing? Maybe getting ready to help push this in the future, or this at some point after the knight goes here. Maybe this kind of a threat, attacking my knight, after this pawn pushes. So anyway, the game continues with me creating the battery. It says this is a good move, but queen to c2 would have been better, keeping an eye on that pawn. And then I guess with that, I could have that possibility, eyeing that little diagonal. But in the game, they protect. And now the best thing to do is, once again, it looks like bringing the queen over here. Yeah, because there, I guess the queen can also keep an eye on this. If my knight jumps forward to the outpost, if they try and trade off here, and this attack is going, at least my queen and king will be guarding that. And if the queen's back even further, I can bring a rook up to help guard it. All right, so an inaccuracy. Apparently, now they're saying queen to d2 would have been better. Queen to d2. And now computer recommends dropping their queen back to d8. All right, let's move along here, try and wrap this video up. They attack. So the best thing here is to keep my queen by dropping my queen back to e3 here. But, yeah, this was a bad move. A mistake. Now the game is almost even again because it fixes my opponent's pawns, or repairs the damaged pawn structure. It keeps my knight from even being able to move forward. So I go to double rooks up on the half open file. Apparently g4 here would have been better. All right, so the knight preparing to jump onto the e4 outpost. We double rooks up. King is stepping up to help, but now the game's about even. So that was an inaccuracy. Apparently a4 would have been better, which maybe would discourage this pawn from pushing forward, because then we could just capture. And the pawn pushes forward, but apparently a5 would have been a little better. So the knight drops back to cover this outpost, in case their knight comes forward. But rook to a1 would have been better. Yeah, because then we could try and get some counterplay over here, pushing this, attacking. So game continues with the rook pushing up. Now there's a possibility of doubling rooks at some point, or doubling rooks here. f3, an inaccuracy. Apparently knight to f1 would have been better. So what would that knight move accomplish? If we go there, they recommend rook to b8 over here. And then we jump our knight up here. Oh, and then there's a tactical threat of capturing. If they capture, we pick off their rook there. All right, yeah, I need to look out for those tactics. But at this point, my time was starting to get low. And I don't know, that always kind of throws a wrench in the works here. So we push forward, capture, recapture. My pawns are undoubled. And now we have their pawn pushing forward. The best thing to do is apparently king to h3, g5 is good, knight to f3. I guess they're all about the same. So I decided to push. Now it's saying that's best. They attack the unprotected pawn. Rook to h1 protects the pawn. And here, the recommendation is knight up to f3. Yeah, looking back at this, that would have been better because from here I could guard the pawn, freeing up my rooks from guard duty. I could have a chance to jump into the outpost, attacking the king. You know, and then there's a threat, maybe. That's not much of a threat, jumping over here. Anyway, I decide instead to exchange, and that lets black get a little bit of an advantage here. They have this protected passed pawn. My king steps up. Rook gets behind a pawn that it's planning to push forward. And here, king to g4 was best because I'm wanting to push this backwards pawn, get rid of that weakness. They block it. And this move, apparently it's excellent, but king to g3, they like that better. So after pushing, which is best, here the best thing to do is what? Not to capture. That is a mistake. Rook, what? Rook to g1 is best? They're saying rook to g1 is best. All right, and then if they capture, we recapture. The only thing I don't like about this is now they can play rook to b3, targeting this, and then when I go to protect that, they can attack this one. So here, the recommendation is, oh my gosh, to not even protect that, to just play rook to h2. Come on, computer. All right, let's wrap it up. We captured, they captured. So I go ahead and protect. That is a mistake, apparently. The computer likes rook to c2 better. So if they capture, that gives us the option of doing what here? Playing rook to c3. Saying that's best. Rook to h8. Now rook at c to c1. Or b3. But I don't know if I like b3 because then they could go here and pin that pawn to my rook. Yeah, that doesn't look too great. Rook at c to c1. All right, the final moves in the game after this to protect. I thought my opponent would just try and go here, here maybe. Then I would be stuck going here on guard duty. And a problem could be this passed pawn here. So they push forward. I try and trade the rooks off. So the best move is found. Capturing, they do not like that move. Apparently, rook to c3 would have been better. I don't know. At this point, I'm just in trouble. Both of those moves would be, almost winning for black. So capture, we have to block. Well, we didn't have to block. But, I think my plan or idea might have been to go here. If they captured, we could go here and then get behind the pawn. Something like that. So here I thought, well, maybe I can push the H pawn, have a passed pawn over here. My opponent, I don't know, that was a mistake. Apparently rook to b8 would have been better, just targeting this pawn. And then here, I have to be careful. If I push this pawn and they capture and my king captures, well then, they could check over here and pick off my rook. So my rook would have to capture. And then my opponent could go here. I don't know. That doesn't look too good at all. Yeah, I think at this point they're ahead by the equivalent of over 3 pawns. Even though material is even, it's not looking good. So we have that move. That takes away some of their advantage. It's like negative 1.77. So I block with that. That's a mistake. Apparently F5 would have been better. Oh, because that could maybe give me some type of counterplay, but I don't know. Might as well take a look at that. If I played F5, they should capture. They go there. King goes towards the center. Now what? King up to G7. Or would it be better to go the other way? King to G7 is what the computer recommends. And now, or king to F7. Yeah, that almost looks a little bit better towards the center. So we want to go here and attack. Rook to D8 can be played. But now, should we push forward? See, they recommend rook to F2. Oh, because we line up on the king, we threaten to push this pawn and then capture with check. Something like that. What if we just pushed immediately? They could move the rook here and pin the pawn, but then we could just push the pawn forward and then we would have a passed pawn over here. Or if they capture though, and then, so if we push, they capture, we capture, this pawn is looking really dangerous. We would have to go down here to stop it. All right, let's look at that again. Push, capture, capture. Or we leave our rook there and we just capture this pawn. But then we have to watch out if a rook gets down into our territory. So if we capture here with our rook, this pawn moves forward, we would have to go back down here to H1 and get in front of that pawn. That would that give our opponent time to go here? We move in front of the pawn, but then they could capture this, protecting the pawn, and the other pawn would get ready to march. Man, this is looking crazy. So in the game, we had this, and we ended up just drawing because they repeated the position 3 times. All right, well, feel free to leave any comments. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.